Oh, right now we're going to interrupt our discussion and go right to a news conference.
Make sure that it was safe. We did have to do some evacuations in our community. So it's still an active fire at this point. We went from an offensive to a defensive, and now we're back to an offensive mode, extinguishing areas of the fire at this time.
Why has this fire been so stubborn?
Patrick Cudahy is a very, very old building. It's been around for well over 100 years. It's the founding building in our city. It has many add-ons to the building, a lot of hidden areas, a lot of cock lofts that make it very difficult to fight a fire. This fire happened to get into a couple of void spaces and traveled very quickly, and was very difficult to put out with all the different construction methods that were used on the time to over the years to add on to this building.
When can people return?
We're not sure at that right now. We're monitoring the air quality. We're trying to use the water the best we can to put the fire out, and we're going to keep monitoring the air quality with the EPA. And when we are sure that the citizens are be safe, then we're allowing them back into the house.
Do you think it'll be overnight, though, or do you think fairly confidently that they'll be able to get back in their homes tonight?
I'm not going to put an actual timeline. I feel that we will be fighting the fire for a minimum of at least another 24 hours with the hot spots that may flare up. But we are gaining ground, but we still have a ways to go, and the water problems and the ammonia problems can add a lot more problems to what we're already facing.
Recently, we've seen smoke flare up again. Is there any indication the fire's getting worse, or is this sort of typical that this continues to flare up?
This is pretty typical that it's flaring up at this time. We've did some overhead views, seen what we had burning, and a lot of it's the tar in the roof that's been built up, and in different sections collapse and fall on top of each other. The tar starts burning, and we get a lot of black smoke, and so you're going to see that typically throughout the rest of the evening, as you did the whole day long.
What are you looking at as a cause?
We have no idea. We have not started that. I have no idea at this time.
How long does that take to figure out?
Every fire is different. It's going to be an investigation. I have no idea.
Have you put a dollar damage on this?
No, I have not.
How are your firefighters doing? They must be so exhausted after all this.
We are. We have a lot of firefighters that we're trying to rotate in right now. We're doing a good job of rotating them in, rotating 30 other departments in right now. We have a strike team coming from Kenosha to help us out, and we're going to keep rotating our guys in, make sure they get hydrated, get some food, get some sleep, and then we'll bring them back in after 4 hours and continue that whole process
How
through the night.
big an area of this building are we talking about?
As far as square foot, I'm not sure what the square footage is.
Why the concern still for residents? If you feel like the fire is just burning, you know what is burning, the ammonia situation is under control, what is the concern right now for residents?
For the concern for residents is we still have active fire going, and if that fire was to reach more concealed spaces and move to areas where they do have ammonia, we could run into the same problem of having another release of ammonia and cause problems for the residents.
So the ammonia threat has lessened, but it is not gone?
It's not gone, no. Patrick Cudahy has been very good. Their officials are working with us. They have a very good grasp on how to deal with their ammonia, what we need to do. They've been a very valuable resource, as Milwaukee Hazmat team has helped us out also.
Has there been a point during this fire where you needed more water and it wasn't there, or has it just been a concern that it's gotten low?
Not only have we had problems with the water tower also going low, but we're using a lot of hydrants, and with that many water towers that we have up in the air right now, I think at one point we may have had 6 or 7. It really taps those hydrants, and so we were draining some of those hydrants quicker than they could supply water.
Can you use Lake Michigan?
We are using Lake Michigan. That's where that water's coming from. We do have an ability to possibly take some raw water from Patrick Cudahy, and we're looking into that at this point. We'd have to draft to do that.
We have conflicting reports. Has a firewall been breached?
I do not know of any firewall. I'm sure there are firewalls that have been breached, and until we get in there and do a full investigation, we know from the exterior of the building that we do have some walls that have buckled, and these are 18-inch to 2-foot walls that are thick, and so we can see that they've buckled and they've got a little S to them and a little curve, and so we watch that and make sure we keep our firefighters away from a collapse zone.
Since it's an old building, is there a concern about asbestos, and how are you dealing with that?
There is concerns about asbestos, and that's why we have all the firefighters masked up, appropriate wearing, proper breathing treatment apparatus.
Any injuries to firefighters?
No,
What's that?
Any injuries to firefighters at this point?
No injuries sustained at all.
Is there any piece of equipment that would help you more now if you had it to contain this fire or control it?
It's just really been a difficult fire to fight because of all the concealed spaces. We couldn't get underneath the fire because of the ceiling material below, and we couldn't get it from the top because of the ceiling material and the rubber that was burning. So it just was a very difficult fire to fight.
Any thought of bringing in a plane?
We've looking into using foam from Mitchell, but we've also started off the fire using foam, our own foam. We used high expansion foam from the very start.
Have you talked to DNR about bringing in their plane that they sometimes use to fight fires from above?
I don't believe that would be useful in this type of fire that we have going on. We have aerial views and we know where the hot spots are, and they're going to continue to burn over the next 24 to 36 hours. We'll be back there and we'll have somebody on. We'll have a couple of engines and trucks stay on the scene to continue fighting those. But our main concern is the active fire that we are fighting right now, and we are in a offensive mode, and we're going to continue to do that until we can assure that that fire is not going to spread to any other areas of the complex.
I know your goal is to contain it, but is there potential that you just run out of buildings, no more buildings to catch fire?
We believe that we're going to stop that fire before it reaches that point. There's a lot of area in Patrick Cudahy that is very usable right now. I don't know the exact percentage that is lost in that building, but there's a lot that we still have to save out there, and we're going to work really hard to do that.
Can you quantify what % of the fire is contained?
What percent? No, I can't do that at this point. With the flare-ups going on, I'm not sure exactly what that is. It's different from an hour ago.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, a battalion chief on the scene telling us that while they have made